So here is a 2025 JAMB English past question. If you were in an exam, how would you solve this question? Let's do it together, okay? So no sooner had Toby left the house dash it began to rain. Now JAMB is testing grammar, but not just grammar. JAMB is also testing time reference. Why? Because since, than, and when are words that can introduce time relationship. For example, option A, since. Since is used to show both time and reason. For example, I had known her since 2020. Time, since 2020. For reason, since you agree, we can proceed. That is reason. Now option B, that. Now that is not used to show time at all. It is used to introduce a clause. For example, she said that she was tired. So this is not the answer to this question. Now option C, than. The structure no sooner than is a fixed grammatical construction that is used to show that an event happened after another one, immediately after another one. So this is the answer to this question. Than is used to show time sequence, okay, and this is a fixed grammatical construction, like I said earlier. Now lastly, we have when. When is also used to show time sequence, okay, but it is used with hardly or scarcely. For example, hardly had I arrived when it rained. So guys, we can't use when and since in this construction, although they show time sequence, but they don't fit. No sooner than is the fixed grammatical construction. This question is under lexis and structure in JAMB syllabus. So how would you approach it? What goes around dash around looks like an incomplete English proverb, but JAMB is not testing if you know it is a proverb. JAMB is testing grammar. Subject-verb agreement. A singular subject takes a singular verb. Now the word what refers to an idea or an action in this sentence, right? So you should treat it as singular. JAMB is also testing if you know the tense for general truths. Proverbs are general truths and general truths are written in simple present tense. For example, practice makes perfect. Time flies. Honesty pays. These sentences are what? Are in simple present tense and they use the singular verb. Pays, flies, makes. So we need a singular verb to complete this sentence. Now option A is coming. Is coming is present tense but in its continuous form. So this is not the answer. Option B, comes. Comes is present tense and it is a singular verb. So this is the answer to this question. Option C, came. Came is past tense, okay? Option D is also present tense, come, but it is a plural verb. It does not agree with what? What? Alright, so final answer is option B. Now a faster or simpler approach to this question is to look at the first verb, goes. Goes is present tense and it's a singular verb. So the second verb should be in the same form. Okay, comes. I just thought about another approach to this question. Okay, if you know Beyonce song, what goes around comes back around, eh? Okay, so final answer to this question is option B. What goes around comes around. So JAMB is testing tense, and you know that there are 3 tenses, right? And 4 aspects. Tense, I mean present, past, future, and for aspect, I mean simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Now, the tenses and the aspects come together to form the 12 English time references that we have. For example, simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect continuous tense, and so on and so forth. Now, this question falls under the present perfect continuous tense, which is an action that started in the past and continues up to the present. Now, how do we know that this question falls under the present perfect continuous tense? Let's go to the question, okay? The boy dashed the flute for about 30 minutes. The key phrase here is for about 30 minutes. For is introducing us to the duration of the action, which is 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not now, okay? It's a duration of time, okay? Now, here is a tip I want you to note. Whenever you see for, since, all day, all week, how long, think of present perfect continuous tense, okay? So, for is introducing us to the action that started in the past and that is still continuing. So, this situation requires a present perfect continuous tense. So, let's go to the options. Now, before we even look at the options, how do we form present perfect continuous tense? Has or have plus been, B-E-E-N, plus the verb in its continuous form. Okay, so option A, was playing. Was playing is past continuous tense. We can't use this because it does not connect us to the present. We need a tense that connects us to the present. Why? Because the sentence says for about 30 minutes. It started in the past and continues up to the present. Okay, was playing ends in the past. Option B, has play. Has play is a wrong formation. Has, have, and had can only be used with playing or played. Okay, please note this. Option C, has been playing. This is correct. Has is a singular verb and it agrees with the singular noun the boy. Been is correct, playing is also correct. Option D, has been playing. This is wrong formation, okay? Been can only be used with is, am, or are, while been can only be used with what? Has, have, or had. So final answer to this question is what, guys? Option C. So you have 3 seconds to solve this question. You can do it. So let's go. Let's find out if you got it right. So JAMB is testing grammar, specifically the rule of concord. So when each of or every one of is used in a sentence, it is followed by a plural noun or plural pronoun, but the verb remains singular. For example, each of the houses has a new look. Houses, plural, has, singular. Another example, every one of the students is present. Students, plural, is, singular. Now, why is this so? It is because we are talking about one person or one item at a time, not the whole group together. Now, let's apply this rule to this question. Each of the answers, plural, dash correct. So we need a singular verb to complete this sentence. Okay, so let's go to the options. Option A, have been. Have is plural. The singular is what? Has. Okay, so this is not the answer to this question. Option B, where. Where is plural. The singular is what? Was. Option C, is a singular. Option D, are is plural. Okay, so option C is the only singular verb and this is the answer to this question. Each of the answers is correct. So even though answers is plural, the main word in the sentence is what? Each. And each is singular. That is why we need a singular verb is to complete this sentence. So let me know if you got it right in the comments. If you use present tense after it is high time, then you get it wrong. The rule is simple. It is high time is followed by the subject and past tense. So it is high time you stopped visiting that friend of yours. More examples. It is high time she studied seriously for exam. It is high time they paid their fees. So it is high time plus subject plus past tense. So option A, stopped, is the answer to this question. Should stop cannot be used after it is high time. Stop is present tense, so it is grammatically incorrect here. Okay, must stop is a modal verb. It is not allowed in this structure. So the best answer to this question is option A, stopped. So whenever you see it is high time, automatically use the past tense, not present tense, not modal verb. So even though the meaning refers to the present, The verb is put in past tense to show that something should already have been done. Okay, so final answer to this question is definitely option A, stopped. So how would you approach this question? JAM is testing grammar, okay, the rule of Concord. Now the rule is simple. Each of is followed by a plural noun and it takes a singular verb, while each is followed by a singular noun and it takes a singular verb. So we can see each of in this sentence, right? Reports is plural, but it still takes what? The singular verb. So let's go to the options. Option A is a singular. We keep it, right? We're looking for a singular verb. Option B, have, plural. Option C, has, singular. Option D, are, plural. Okay, so we have option A and option C. They are both singular. So which is correct? Now go to the question and look for the clue. The clue is been, B-E-E-N. B-E-E-N is used with have, has, or had, while B-E-I-N-G, being, is used with is, are, or am. Okay, so that makes option C the final answer to this question. Each of the reports has been carefully reviewed by the committee. If you get confused when you see these words, then this jump pass question will trick you. Advice, advise, is a verb, while advice, advice, is a noun. Now that we know the difference, let's go to the question. The doctor dashed him to take his medicine regularly. What do we need to complete the sentence? A verb, because we already have a subject, the doctor. So we need a verb to complete the sentence, right? Good. Now it doesn't end there. The question we need to ask ourselves is, do we need the present tense or past tense? We need the past tense. Why? Because this sentence tells us about something the doctor already did in the past. So it's a completed action. So we need past tense. Now let's go to the options. Option A, we know that this word does not exist, right? Why? Because we already know that advice is a noun and we can't have the past tense marker ed beside the noun, right? Now, option B, we have advised. This is the verb, this is the past tense, and this is the answer to the question. Option C, advised. This is present tense. And even if we need a present tense in this sentence, it will be advises, not advise. Why? Because doctor, the doctor, is a singular noun. So the singular verb will be advises. So the doctor advises the patient to take their medicine regularly. That kind of sentence construction will work. So option D, advice, this is a noun, okay? So final answer to this question is definitely option B, advised. Every fill in the gap question has a clue. So all you need to do is spot the clue. So let's take a look at this sentence and look for the key phrase. The dash of armed robbery has been on the increase. The key phrase here is has been on the increase. And this tells us that robbery started in the past, it has continued to grow, and is likely still happening now. Okay, so this tells us that we need a word that captures rate, that captures frequency, or how often something happens. Now let's take a look at the options. Notice that all the options are nouns, so we can't rely on grammatical class or part of speech, word class to answer this question. We need to rely on the meaning of each of the options. Okay, so option A, we have accidents. Now this is a grammar terminology that means how verbs change. Okay, for example, how a verb like write changes to wrote or written. Okay, now so it has nothing to do with crime, it has nothing to do with armed robbery in this sentence, so it doesn't relate. Option B, we have accident. Accident is an unexpected event that leads to damage or injury. Okay, so this meaning does not relate. Okay, it's a wrong meaning in this sentence. So option C, incident. Incident is one single event, so it doesn't fit this context as well. We could say there was an incident at the bank yesterday, but incident in this context does not fit. Option C, incidents. Incidents is the rate or frequency at which something happens. So this is the answer to this question. It captures the word rate, frequency, and how often something happens. Now, take a look at this question. Tell me, what is JAM testing? JAM is testing the order of adjectives. Okay, so the first step is to know the adjective order. In English, adjectives follow this order: opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose, and finally we have the noun. So the next thing you want to do is classify the words. So take a look at the options and classify individual words. So let's use option A, okay? So we have shiny. Shiny tells us or describes how something looks to the speaker. So it's an opinion, right? Next is launch. Launch tells us what it is used for. This is purpose. Next is red. Red is color. Coincidentally, I'm wearing red. Okay, so finally we have new. New is under age. It tells us how old or recent something is. Okay, so it is classified under age. New, old, young, they are all classified under age. So note this. Okay, so the next thing is you want to arrange them correctly. Okay, the first is opinion, which is shiny, followed by age, which is new. Then we have color, red, and finally purpose, lunch. And then we have the noun, park. Okay, so put Chalmers meat in the shining new red launch park. So option C is the final answer to this question. If you want to know how JAM sets spelling questions, here is an example for you. Now let's take a look at the options. The question we should be asking ourselves is, which of these options is correctly spelt, or which of these words exist in English language? So option A, laudable. Have you ever heard of the word laudable? No, it doesn't exist. Option B, laudable. This word exists and it means worthy of praise. Option C doesn't exist. Option D doesn't exist. So the answer to this question is option B. Now take a look at the sentence. He was praised for the dash achievement. Remember I mentioned that every fill in the gap question gives you a clue. So you need to look for the clue. Now the key phrase in this sentence is was praised. So the word that will correctly fill in the gap must connect to the word praise. And that is what laudable means. Deserving of praise, worthy of praise. So option B is your final answer.